Hi guys, I'm recording this video for the second time because I'm a dumbass and flipped my mic back to um myself muted. But anyway, this video, it's gonna be kind of a not political, but it's gonna be a topic where I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that disagree with me and disagree with my reasons, but there's gonna be a lot of people that have first-hand experience like me that are gonna agree. But if you dislike it, post why you dislike in the comments. But if you do like, and you do have like stories or like anything that you think that relates to this topic, yeah, to do it. This is gonna be another commentary. Probably should have mentioned that before I said that. But it's gonna be a commentary. It's gonna be a long one. Like I said, it's gonna be a long one. So anyway, I'm just gonna get right into it. Why I hate school. School is, well, I don't necessarily hate it, but I know I just kind of went back on myself, but I don't necessarily hate it, but I hate the idea and the way it is carried out. Today, our schools are undermanaged, under-controlled, and underdeveloped. We'll use that. What I mean by this is schools are the most important thing for a generation, children, a group, a community. They are one of the most important things to keep a community, a generation, all this running. Because, like, let's say I want to be a rocket scientist to make solar powered rockets or something. I don't really know off the top of my head what a lot of people want to be. But let's say you want to be that, but yet in school they're teaching you basic math, basic history, or they'll be teaching you a main core curriculum that is completely off the topic, or you want to be something that doesn't revolve around what they're teaching. Like, let's say you want to be a dancer, but yet all they're teaching you is math, science, and history. Well, you slack off in class, you don't pay attention. These are the kind of things and then you get yelled at and you get in trouble for trying to be an individual, for trying to be a person. And it's really dumb the way a lot of parents and a lot of children see this topic, because school isn't necessarily bad, but a lot of schools are. And, like, teachers, I know some of these teachers, yes, they are to blame, but a lot of them, they get shortchanged. They get undercut in these topics. They get underdeveloped, yeah, like I said earlier. Because they don't get paid enough, but yet they're expected to come to work every day with a good mind, good attitude, where they barely get paid. They can't go and have fun on their free time. There's a lot of things that they can't go out and do now because they're a teacher. There's a lot of things they can't say. They can't say their topic. They can't say their opinion. They can't end up in anything majorly political or in magazines, because then there's a good chance that if it's anything controversial or the parents don't like it, they'll get fired. And teachers, they're not treated with enough care, I guess you could say, because they never get what they really deserve. And that's why a lot of teachers go insane. There has been 7 teachers, it's either 7 or 8, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's 7 in alone that have gone and worked at my district that have either gone insane or had a heart attack because of their malpractice. Because they feel like they're getting undercut and they're stuck in this job now because this is what they trained for and they can't do anything else. Another reason, because the school systems kept them in a straight line and doing the same thing in conformity. Like, did you know that classes haven't changed in 150 years? I mean, yes, the topic and the math and the history have changed, but the way we teach, the things that we teach haven't changed in 150 years. That is over, like, I think 3 generations, not like millennia, but not millennia, centuries, but that's so many generations of kids that are losing out and are losing this, like, vital information that they could be using for their jobs. Like, let's say you wanted to go and be an electrician, but you're only getting taught math and history and science. How much does science, it might go into that topic for, like, I think I've seen most of them go into, like, these other small topics for a few pages in a lot of our books, which these books that schools already pay way too much for. And they pay way too much for them. They barely go into a lot of topics. Like, they'll dabble in them about, like, 3 pages or 2 pages, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we covered it, because these curriculum majors think that kids barely want to know about this stuff, but kids want to go around. Most of the ones that I know, they fully want to explore a lot of topics, or they want to focus on their topic for what they want to be, which schools don't allow that. They want you to conform and be the same thing, know the same knowledge, but then all expect you to fight for a grade of grade A. And as a matter of fact, grade A was derived from the factory style teaching that we have now, because schools were created for people to work in factories and to teach them. That's why grade A, as in grade A, like a slice of meat. That's why we have that grading system. Why it's like 75% is, like, I believe, a B, and like anything above that's an A, and if it's just extra great, then it's an A plus. But it's still all derived from the same factory teaching. And yes, they've gone out and they've gone into arts and sciences and these other small little topics, but it's still not enough. We haven't changed in 150 years. I know I'm kind of saying that again, but there's just so much stuff that is going on that is wrong. Like, freaking, oh, I just said freaking. They sit there and they tell you what they want you to think, how they want you to believe things. Like, they still teach you that Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, but if you really go into it and look into it, Christopher Columbus discovered a small island, I think it was called Tahiti. He didn't discover America. The Vikings, there's more evidence supporting that the Vikings discovered America before him. And yet it's still getting taught in our schools because one dude wrote a book, I think it's 76, it's something years ago, I think it's 76 years ago, saying that, or no, it was more than 76. It was, actually no, it was, I don't remember the exact amount of years. I probably should have done more information. I'm sorry that I can't say it exactly, but it was several years ago, generations ago, saying that, oh, this guy discovered it just so that Latin Americans, immigrants, would be treated better. And yet our government has done nothing to look into this, nothing to actually change these curriculums and tell these curriculum majors that, oh, this shouldn't be in there because it's not actually true. But yet we sit here and we buy these overpaid, over-expensive books that aren't even worth it and then teach kids fake stuff. We have history books that we shouldn't be using anymore. Well, we actually got new ones not too long ago, and a lot of people I know say they just got new ones because it's at the 10-year break. Because we get new history books every 10 years, and they teach history all the time that isn't even relevant anymore. I've had histories tell me that they have to teach their students stuff that isn't even relevant, stuff that isn't even true, and then they tell them, like, on the side, like, yo, this isn't true, but since it's in the book, I have to teach you it. How dumb is that? And not to mention, freaking teachers, I don't know if actually I already said that. I was going to say, they're already overpaid, and the fact that they still strive to this is pretty amazing. But we need to get on it. We need to get on changing and customizing our school system to actually fit children around the world and fit students around the world. Like, let's say a curriculum major sits there and goes, most of these schools, they have A's. Let's send them more funding. Or not the curriculum major, that's actually the government and, like, the Department of Education that does that. But they're like, hey, let's send them more funding, because the better a school does, the more funding they can push for. They already have enough funding, obviously, because their school is excelling, so keep them at their current number, and unless their numbers start to drop because they actually do need more, then give them more if they actually need it. And then actually tell them to teach these topics that everyone wants to teach. But then you have schools like in Detroit and in, like, the heart of deep in Washington and in the South that teach very small topics, and they're all asking for more funding, but they're not getting it because their numbers are too low. That's so stupid. They've been sitting here teaching and working their hardest, but just because their kids aren't getting good enough grades, because they're underfunded, they get more underfunded. It's like a parasite. That the more that they suffer, the more pain, the worse schools start to do because they're underpaid, the worse they get treated. And it's just retarded. And freaking, like, this is the kind of stuff that I actually hate. And a guy named Frederick J. Riley, founder of standardized testing, which we have up to 7 standardized tests a month where kids get a grade on these standardized tests where they know nothing about it, but it still counts towards their grade. And it affects, like, their college and everything they do for the rest of their life. And just because they didn't know the knowledge, and because they didn't go out and search it out in their own free time when they're with their families, when they're with their friends and their, like, girlfriends and all that, just because they didn't go out and search information on like their free time. Switzerland, kids go to school less time, like they have shorter school days. They don't have homework. They don't have homework anymore, and their teachers make a fair wage. And yet most people think, oh yeah, well, that's Switzerland, they're a smaller country. But did you know that Switzerland outperforms every other school system and every other country? They have the highest graded education at the moment. So you could go to Harvard and, yeah, get really good education, but you're going to be sitting there and it's going to be very hard to learn. And it's in a giant lecture format. Everything's still in lecture formats. Lectures are a thing of the past. Very few people can actually pay attention these days in lectures because they're so long, repetitive. Back then, there was so little stuff just everywhere. Everything was smaller. Everything was a small town back in, like, the 50s. But yet, we're still getting taught these small town curriculums and these small town things for small jobs. The world has grown exponentially. But yet we're still sitting back in this system from 150 years ago. And yeah, Switzerland, they are actually starting to work on their system, fund their system, pay their teachers a reasonable amount, give kids. We used to have 15 minutes. This was, I'm gonna curse, bullshit. We used to have 15 minutes to eat when I was in school. 15 fucking minutes. Literally, I know a lot of students, they would take their food and carry it with them, put it in lunch boxes, whatever, from lunch, and bring it into class, and then get yelled at for eating in class. But no one really cared. Like, none of the students cared because they were like, fuck you. We get 15 minutes to eat, and we're expected to sit in these classrooms for 8 hours a day. 8 fucking hours. And we get 15 minutes to eat. I mean, yes, they increased it recently where our school, the school that I went to, now a lot of children have like 45 minutes to eat. But, or no, I think it's 30 minutes, depending on what time you get in line, which you normally don't get in line till 10 minutes, roughly 10 minutes, after you've already gotten sat in the auditorium lunchroom thing. That's 20 minutes to eat. You still have to stuff food down your throat. And I know a lot of people that don't even finish their food, or they just, like, feel too rushed, and then they don't feel good because they just shoved a bunch of food down their throat after they get done eating it, and then they leave because they don't feel good. It's just a bad system. It's a bad situation to follow. And it's just sad the way schools are now. And, well, not now, but how schools are treated. Our schools deserve so much loving and tender care. But yet, we just kind of neglect them. It's like a cat. You wouldn't sit there and feed it dog food, would you? But this is what schools do. And there's this dude named E.A. Prince. He does a really good job of explaining it. And there's other people like Boy in a Band and just a lot of really good people out here on YouTube that are explaining and making this topic relevant. And yeah, it's kind of like what I'm doing in this commentary. But yeah, it's really sad the way that all of this is treated. And what derives from all this, what happens at the end of all this, and my friend really didn't want me to talk about this, the other one that owns the channel, and I'm probably going to get yelled at for this, but it's half my channel too. Did you know that since 2013, there have been 291 school shootings? And I'm not making a joke or anything. This is the actual amount. I went and researched a few different sites, and this is what I got. 291 school shootings. Because schools are getting treated wrong. Kids are all sitting there competing instead of working together. Like, I know when I was in school, I definitely sat there and wanted to get a better grade than everyone else, because that is the way that we were treated. That everyone, you weren't good unless you had a good grade. Even teachers would treat you this way. And then they would act all nice to you, and then behind your back, they would sit there and be like, oh, these kids are retarded. I've heard kids or teachers sit there and tell a student to fuck off because they weren't getting good grades and because they couldn't pay attention to their shitty form of teaching. What the fuck is that? Like, how could you even just, it's sad the way kids and everything are treated nowadays. If you agree, like, subscribe, comment, share. Again, what I said in the beginning of that video, if you agree, like, all that. If you disagree, say what you disagree in the comments. I actually want to hear what other people think about this. Yeah, this is all what I really had to say. If you want me to do more commentaries like this, tell me. I want to do one, and it's about kind of a political topic, and it's about all the recent school shootings, like the Florida one and stuff, but I'm really hesitant on doing it. Give me, like, a lot of comments in the comments below and tell me, like, if you actually want to, because if I don't hear a lot of people saying it, I'm not gonna, because it's already a very political comment, and I really don't want to just sit there and get a lot of hate for my opinion. So if you want to hear it, then post it in the comments. But if you don't, then just kind of don't say anything about it, and I won't make a video on it. I hope you guys had a good day and all that. This is actually coming out probably pretty late. Probably around 9 o'clock, I think, is when I'm going to be done. Yeah, this is just this kind of video. It's kind of a serious topic, unlike my other ones. I want to do more like these, because I like to tell people and let people know about these kind of things. This has been one long about the